And there we go.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to the podcast. I'm Rich, and this is the Scuttlebutt Podcast. Today we have a very special guest from Ontario, Ray Gall. Ray, how are you, sir?
Not too shabby. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. You reached out after our podcast with Mark Downey of the Fur Harvesters, and then we touched briefly on the Algonquian Wolf, the hybrid wolf, or whatever it is. And you said you've had a lot to do with it over the years. I want to get to that, but first, tell me a little bit about your history, your background. You must be a trapper. You're involved in all this stuff. Let's see what your bona fides are before we believe what you have to say.
So I'm a Zone 5A director for the Ontario Fur Managers Federation. I've been a trapper for going on 12 years now, I believe, as licensed. I've been a hang around for years. Didn't really have the opportunity to get a line of my own or go off of my own until then. And I have a registered trap line now in Prairie Sound District. And we seem to have a problem with canines in our area. And
give us a little bit of background for those of us who don't know Ontario. Whereabouts are you located?
Just off the shores of Georgian Bay.
Okay, so you're
Lake
down.
Huron.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this does this wolf or whatever it is affect you directly, affect your line?
As of right now, it does not. But in 2001, the provincial government put a ban on all harvest of any canine in the 40 townships surrounding Algonquin Provincial Park, which is a big park. And there's been significant losses to the other animals on those lines within those boundaries.
Okay.
Starting in the 30s, that park was managed for moose. So they would hire trappers, anybody with a gun or anybody who knew how to throw strychnine out to try and eradicate everything in the park that would eat moose. Then in the 50s, a researcher come along and put a stop to it.
So can I ask just one question here? I always go off on tangents that, but why moose? Why were they managing it for moose? Was it a place where people hunted, or did they just like moose on the landscape?
It used to be, yeah.
Oh, okay. So they were managing it for hunters, the okay. Go ahead. The 50s.
In comes a researcher called Pimlott, and he did a bunch of research on the wolves. Give us pretty much the same research that's coming out today. They did population density studies and carrying capacity studies, which they found was 3 wolves per 100 square kilometers.
3
wolves per 100 square kilometers. Fast forward that to the 90s, and Taberge, they said, no, Pimlott, you're crazy. We're going to set up our own studies, and we're going to get our own government funding, and we're going to do our own research. To what they found was 3 wolves per 100 square kilometers for carrying capacity. Fast forward to, and because of Taberge in 2001, they shut down the extra 40 townships around the park, like I said. In that, there was a bunch of recommendations that the steering committee found that the provincial government should be working on, like doing DNA sampling and stuff like that, to see if the progression of this wolf the progression or degradation of the DNA is which way it's going and whatnot, and that wasn't done.
Well,
So
give me some history here on what exactly we're talking about. Like this, you keep referring it to as a wolf. Is it a wolf? Is it a hybrid? What is it?
It's a. I keep on calling it a wolf, yeah, but it is a hybrid between the coyote and the gray wolf.
Okay, it is the gray wolf then.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Now we have, back in the 90s, DNA was just like coming out, like the tools to identify such, and now we have better tools, and it was found out that Tiberge and Tiberge falsified some of their findings. So now we have the researchers of today.
What did they falsify?
It was just falsified. Stuff was falsified. Some of their density studies, I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
They were trying to reverse engineer where they wanted to end up at.
Yeah. So the researchers of today have taken over, and from Trent University, and they have found out that they did their own studies, and they found out that the carrying capacity is 3 wolves per 100 square kilometers. So it's a bit of a mixed bag in where this come from. There's many different theories that has been brought about. One of them that was put out by one of the researchers from Trent was back in the Pleistocene, way back when, before European contact or human, that there was a wolf that lived on the landscape that was smaller than the gray wolf. Well, and it just ate deer. That's what its niche was, and that's what it did. Thing is, Canada and North America didn't look like it does now. Back then, there was horses running around, there was mammoths, there was camels, there was all sorts of different animals that lived. It wasn't just that there was a small wolf, small canine that filled that niche, and that was just speculation. So that's part of the story that they're trying to push through. The other one was European contact. We killed off all the wolves, and that left room for the coyotes to come in from the west. And because the wolves had nobody to mate with, they started hybridizing.
Okay, the coy wolf that everybody hears about.
And that's your eastern coyote or your coy wolf, or the many different names that we hear about them.
I laugh about that out here, because to me, for me, a coy wolf is a pile of wolf turds at a bait site. You know, if I catch a coyote, the wolves eat it right away. You know.
Well, and that's the other one of the other points is we have to protect the eastern wolf because it's genetically unique to all the other canines in Ontario. Well, since the 1950s, there's been no hunting of canines in Algonquin Park. So we've created a little island for them to live in, and they're breeding with themselves.
Okay.
We've created a unique situation.
Let me get a couple things straight here. I'm trying to fight this out in my head. Is the eastern wolf just a subspecies of the gray wolf, or is it a separate wolf?
It's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid. Okay, so the eastern is the result of the gray wolf and the coyote, and eastern coyote. Pardon me. And your eastern coyote is quite a bit larger than our western coyote, isn't it?
Oh, much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot larger. Yeah.
Okay.
You go to your snare pen or whatever, and you pick up a 60, 80-pound dog. It's not unusual.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like an 80-pound wolf is a big wolf.
Yeah.
Not let alone a coyote. Okay. So the other thing I was trying to get straight was the guy in the very beginning said that 3 per 100 square kilometers was the proper carrying capacity. And the guy at the end said the same thing. What did the guys in the middle say? What did they decide?
3 as well.
3 as well. Huh.
Yeah. Well, it's the same carrying capacity, but they want the animal to go out, like their numbers to expand, which there's been 2 problems with that. One, we have not gotten what a recovered number is to the endangered, to take them off the endangered list.
Okay, so what number we need for the population to be at before they're no longer endangered? That's the recovered number. Okay.
Yeah. And the other problem is one of the part of the rationale for shutting these areas down is the fact that because it's half wolf and half coyote, you can't tell what it looks like.
Okay.
You can't tell, you can't distinguish what it is. Is it a wolf? Is it a coyote? Nobody can really tell on the fly. And that concerned quite a few of the hunters out in the east. They couldn't tell for 100% sure, so they didn't want to drop the hammer because they couldn't tell. So they just stopped shooting them. They stopped managing their numbers because they are growing in numbers.
So the hybrid resembles the coyote?
It's a crapshoot. Roll the dice.
Oh, okay. It could look like
something that looks like a coyote with giant paws and long legs. Other times you have something that's short legs, giant head on it. You can't really, if you were to tell on the fly, they all look the same. And that was part of the rationale why they shut it down. So 2016, they shut down another 3 areas where these were found, which were 3 other provincial parks. Killarney Provincial Park, which is getting closer to the north end of Lake Huron. Pardon me. Queen Elizabeth II Park, Provincial Park, and Kawartha Highlands Park. So if you look at a map, the Kawartha Highlands and the Queen E2 is just southeast of the park, of Algonquin Park, and Killarney is northwest by quite a bit. So what the researchers were looking for and the provincial government was pushing for was 80,000 square kilometers to be shut down for all canine harvest.
Wow.
That's a good chunk of area. I went to the recovery strategy meetings with Robin Horwath, the general manager of the Ontario Fur Managers Federation. And it was, you tell your story, he tells his story, we sit and listen to the research. Then on the last day of it, like there was in 2 different days. On the last day, it went from 80,000 square kilometers down to 30,000 square kilometers, 40,000. And they cut that number in half just to make the anties happy and the consumptive users happy. And you can't say stuff like that in a meeting and expect it to be everybody be on board, because management, like true management of an animal, shouldn't be a compromise.
No, and there shouldn't be any politics in it, right?
It shouldn't be, well, okay, well, we'll give you guys half and we'll give these guys half. That's not, that can't be. It's either it is or it isn't. Do we need to protect them or do we not? And that's getting to where we're starting to get into the nitty gritty.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Can I ask, when did the animal appear?
I don't know. I don't know. If you listen to, I asked the one head researcher, and she said, I asked the same question, and they went around everywhere, northern states, upstate New York, all of Ontario, Quebec, Manitoba. They went looking for these things in the museum, like skulls and bones and whatnot, to try and get some DNA from as far back as they could, and they couldn't get any.
So they don't, this coy wolf doesn't exist anywhere else?
No.
Okay.
No. So I asked, when did it show up? Like, when did this thing appear? Or how long does it take in natural selection for a hybridization to become its own species, to become genetically significant or genetically different? And I was told 140,000 years. Well, when I was a kid, there was no such thing as labradoodles.
Yeah, no.
that was made by man.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean,
humans,
it raises so many questions in my head. Like, I mean, when did it arise, and is it genetically stable, or is it constantly morphing? You know, are we going this way, or are we going that way? How long before it all breeds out and they go back to the unique genomes and that? There's so many questions. Like, what are you actually trying to save? I mean, it's like trying to save a moving target. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. Like, there was no such thing as genetics in the 1800s, and Dobermans were made out of 5 different animals. Right? They're made out of the Rottweiler, German short-haired pointer, Weinheimers, Rottweiler. You know, they're a Heinz 57 in the actual sense, and that was made in the 1500s. Like, Pimlott was doing his own genetic research. He was trying to crossbreed these animals, like wolves and coyotes.
Okay.
So, and he was successfully doing. So, is the Eastern Algonquin wolf what is left from his research? Like, nobody can actually tell us exactly what's happened. The other kind of stick in the mud is all this research. A good part of the research was done under the funding of 7 different protectionist organizations.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for. I hate to say that, but you get what you pay for, right?
It is so funny how that works. You know, the money that comes from a protectionist group is clean money. When we take whether it's like the Wild Sheep organization or the Trappers organization in Alberta, and we pay money just to fill a helicopter, just, you know, we just buy the fuel for the helicopter when they're doing surveys and all that. Those numbers don't count because we influenced it. Just because we put gas in the helicopter, you know, our money's dirty, but the money that from you know, save the whales or my favorite, the World Wildlife Fund. I mean, that's all clean money, right?
To your point there, we were not asked to help gather data or be for any funding for this project. When it come down to it, we asked on behalf of the fur managers. We asked at the recovery strategy meeting if we can do some sampling for them. We have all the information we need.
Yeah, you guys handled far more of those animals than they'll ever see.
That's the thing. And what we heard about their data collection, like their sample collection, was appalling at best. They were doing fecal sampling Well, yeah. I believe they tried barbed wire sampling, and they were looking for urine samples from in the snow. I'm like, have you ever seen a dog pee on a stump and then have 8 more dogs come along? Like, what are you getting? So what the fur managers did
That's a good place
is,
to put a trap. That's what you're getting.
from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But the fur managers, we reached out to our trappers in the central region, and it was awesome the amount of help that we got from the trappers. All we wanted was 1.5 to 2 inches of the tongue. That gives them, or that gives us actual DNA sample that can get down into the genome deeper than any fecal matter could ever. And what we did was we sent half of the samples to Trent, half of it to Princeton, sorry, and we kept half for ourselves. And we jumbled up the numbers. So sample A was sample 1, type sort of thing. Right. So nobody knew what the real answer was other than us after looking at what it was. The other problem with the sampling done by the researchers in Ontario was they eliminated domestic dog. So if they got a sample that had domestic dog in it, it was thrown out.
Oh, so that does happen?
Oh my goodness. So Quebec just did a study there, and I believe over 416, I believe, coyotes caught in Quebec. Around 40% of them had domestic dog DNA within them.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know the eastern coyote must be kind of a tramp, because man, you guys have such wide variations, not so much in Ontario and that, but you get down along the eastern seaboard of the United States, a lot of them look like a German Shepherd. There's no way I would shoot one of them. I'd let it go out of the trap, because they look so much like a dog, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I because of the study, we got a whole bunch of pictures from people around Guelph area that you had to ask yourself, why does that looks exactly like a coyote, ears, muzzle, size, shape, everything colored exactly like a border collie.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. From what I've heard, the coyote is kind of a genetic conduit where everything can breed with it, type of a thing.
Right. So
your domestic dog, your wolves, and whatnot. So it's kind of an easy fix for it, like for this situation.
Okay, so we're now at the situation where they have decided that they've got a unique animal that they want to protect or whatever, and they're trying to grow the population. I mean, doesn't that seem like an invasive species to you when you have to grow the population?
Yes. Yeah. So what they're finding is within the 30,000 townships, or sorry, 30,000 acres, square kilometers, sorry, that they want to call recovered, that the animals are having a hard time assimilating with other wolves and coyote packs.
Really?
Yeah, they say they're having hard times. The thing is, admitted by Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources, there is not one purebred wolf in Ontario until you get up to the James and Hudson's Bay.
Right. Okay.
They're all intermixed. So we've got coyotes, we have eastern coyotes, Algonquin / eastern wolves, Great Lakes boreal wolves, and the gray wolves. So
Okay.
they're all hybridized. It's just to what degree. Does this one have a little more coyote in it? Does this one have a little more wolf in it? And that's where we put them in the slot. The thing is, you can't protect your apex predators without having consequences, right?
Oh, absolutely. And when you say though that they don't play well with the others, or they're now they've increased the population and they're bumping up against the gray wolves, they're bumping up against the coyotes, and they're not interacting well. I mean, isn't that an obvious a warning sign that this wasn't meant to be, or was it this is
Well,
not normal?
the thing is, they're going off of what they're expecting. They wanted to do is shut down the area, and one of the hypotheses was that the eastern wolf, Algonquin wolf, would spread out and push all the coyotes south. Because if you look at the Yellowstone situation, what they did is they grabbed a bunch of wolves from a bunch of different areas, put them into
just from Alberta. We sent them 14 at one point and 6 at another, and they still hate us.
yeah, I guess, so they sent them from areas where there weren't coyotes. So they started to kill them and push them out of the areas.
The very first thing that happened with the Yellowstone, when they put the wolves in, they went from over 240 coyotes in Yellowstone to 40 coyotes in 1 year. The wolves ate them.
Over there, coyotes are competition for food and food.
Yep.
Here in Ontario, coyotes are breeding partners for wolves. That's because they're all hybridized.
That eastern coyote's going to be quite the tramp.
Yeah. It's not like over there where they don't know what they are. Here they're family units, right?
So can they breed either way? Like, does it take a male wolf and a female coyote, or
it's whoever's wherever? It's whoever's wherever.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like I've went up to my snare pens, and sometimes you catch just a little wee pup with a big head, and you catch what you would call a coyote and a wolf at the same pen.
Okay.
And I know on my line that typically they're about a week and a half different. Like the bigger tracks, like the bigger packs versus the smaller packs. So they're all going in circles. One's, I don't know if they're chasing each other, or which doesn't speak well to the boundaries. There is overlap with the boundaries, or the territories, right?
Are your coyotes a pack animal?
I'm sorry?
Are your coyotes a pack animal then?
Oh, yeah.
See, ours aren't. Ours are singular, maybe a pair. Depends on, the time of the year, but
well, that's part of their story too, that because of the coyote size, they don't have to live in big packs where they have to kill big animals to get lots of calories, right? They can live off of rabbits and squirrels and whatnot, where the bigger gray wolves, the true gray wolves, have to hunt in packs because they can't just live off a rabbit here and expend all the energy chasing a squirrel or whatnot, right?
Right. Okay, so now they're trying to increase the numbers, which seems like an artificial situation, and they're bumping into problems. What's their solutions? Excuse me.
Their solution?
Yeah.
Like
what's the solution
of of recovering the numbers is to shut down harvest of these animals, which they have done in 4 different parks and the surrounding townships of the one. Because I'm the director of the Zone 5A in the central region, I get to go to meetings, and there's 2 councils that are right on the border of Algonquin Park and within those townships. It doesn't take you too long to see who's allowed to harvest canines on their lines.
Okay.
How's your beaver doing? Like we did a study, the fur managers, just a quick number grab, and since 2001, since they shut down those extra townships, the beaver quotas have gone down dramatically. Over 30%.
Wolf live on beaver. I mean, you cannot, you go at my trap line, you can't walk across the beaver dam without seeing wolf tracks in the summertime. And I mean, they whelp there. You know, that's where they have their pups, because there's a huge source of food for them, right? Everything eats beaver.
Oh, for sure. Even in the wintertime, the beaver house is a marking post.
Yep.
Alive or dead. If it's alive, you'll see more tracks around it. But if it's a dead house, they'll still visit it, because you never know when there's a free meal coming out, right?
Right. So they're just continuing to expand the area of the no-go zone where you can't trap.
Well, the Ontario Fur Managers Federation has pushed. We're really the only ones actively fighting this. We've put countless numbers of hours into collecting the samples on behalf of the trappers who are generous enough to get us the samples. We're actively sending them out. Not right at this time, but we're pushing back. We got to ministers. We've spoken to 3 different ministers on this. One liberal who actually agreed with us. How scary is that? And they put a stop hold. So we have to, or the minister has to come up with a recovery strategy within X amount of days of receiving the strategy. And the last day of the strategy meeting, the recovery strategy meeting, it was kind of sad, because at the end, the gentleman who is running the meeting says, okay, so we're all in agreement that we have to do something to recover this animal. And myself and Robin Horwath was, no, we do not agree. Guy running the meeting turned purple. He started raising his, we have to agree that we have to do something. No, we do not have to agree. What happens if you do shut down this 80,000 kilometers? What's going to happen to your moose population, which is already in shambles here in Ontario? What's going to happen to the whitetail population?
Excuse me for a minute.
No worries.
Sorry, just give me a minute. I've is my fourth today. My fourth podcast, and I don't know what happened.
Oh, gee, sorry.
No, it's nothing for me to take that out. I'm sorry to interrupt you. This has been good.
Oh, no worries.
I don't have a cough drop here anywhere. I don't know what happened. Too much talking.
I thought you were choking about the moose population.
No. Okay. Let's take it back and the thought that you had the moose population in. Do you remember that line?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's it gonna do for the? Oh, sorry.
Just let me get you back into this. Sorry about that. I've been talking way too much. I think this virus thing it's got me doing way too many podcasts. So you were talking about what it was doing to the other populations.
Yeah. What's it going to do to the moose population? What's it going to do to the deer population? We just had a few bad winters that already knocked well over 70% of our whitetail population out. The canines were not affected by that. What's going to happen with those, right? That you can't just protect the apex predator and expect nothing to go awry, right?
No, and the worst part is that, I mean, your apex predators follow the prey by 2 years. So your prey crashes, 2 years later, your apex predators crash. There's nothing they can do about that. You know, if they can't take care of the prey, there's nothing there for the predator.
And so they want to protect the Algonquin eastern wolf. Thing is, and let them expand. Thing is, we already have canines on the landscape that fill the same job, that do the same job that these animals do. So we have our eastern coyotes, we have our boreal wolves, or Great Lakes boreal wolves. There's already animals on the landscape. And I'm not saying that, like, wolves are an important part of what goes on in nature. Like, I'm not saying go out and kill every dog. Like, seeing people post on social media and whatnot, another fawn killer dead.
Yeah.
Those remarks aren't helping us any.
Well, it's so weird though, is they have no proof that it ever lived anywhere else.
No.
You know, they have no record of it having been in the places where they're trying to promote it. I mean, it seems like it kind of evolved or hybrid within the park, and now they're trying to push it out throughout the province. Like, why? I don't understand that.
At the beginning, they wanted scientific facts. We didn't have them, so we got the DNA, and we started getting them facts that they didn't want. That was put out by non-biased people. You can't fake a chunk of tongue.
No.
There was earth roots and a whole bunch of different animal rights or protectionist groups out snowshoeing and skiing on snowmobile trails, looking for all these pieces of samples. We fought fire with fire. We got them the better scientific proof, the better DNA samples. Then the game's changed. So now they're looking at socioeconomical problems. Well, that's an easy one to fight too. You just go and find what the predation of this animal, or the predation that this animal is causing on livestock, right? Which is another onion here. This is like many layers to it.
Okay.
So I was at an agricultural wildlife conflict committee meeting, and there was somebody from Manitoba there, and Quebec and Manitoba have already said, no, this animal doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. This is an eastern coyote. This is a hybrid. Why are you guys trying to protect a hybrid? So he was there on a call, or on speakerphone, and I asked him, I said, so what do you guys think about this Algonquin wolf? And he got quiet. And he says, we're scared to death of them. Because if you guys call them a species, a separate species, if you guys figure out that it is a separate species, apparently the federal government was thinking about taking away, because apparently in Manitoba they're having huge problems with predation on livestock from coyotes. Federal government was thinking about taking their name off of that check. Anything cut or killed by a coyote, you wouldn't get credit for it. You wouldn't be paid through the depredation clause through the federal government. I know in Ontario it's a 60-40 split. I'm not sure what the other provinces are.
So let me get this straight. If it's killed by a wolf, they kick in money, but if it's killed by a coyote, it's not.
Yeah, that's what the rumblings on the street were. So they were deathly afraid of the Algonquin wolf being listed as a separate species, because now you cannot tell if it's a wolf, a coyote, or a gray wolf, a coyote, or an Algonquin wolf.
Oh, and so they would just disallow it, period.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then that would put huge burden on the provinces. So that's what the guy from Manitoba was saying.
So who's driving all this? Who's got the power? Like, I mean, none of this makes any sense to me at all. I mean, it's pretty cut and dried as far as I can see. And who's got the stroke to make this happen? That we can take something that, you know, a mistake, a hybrid that probably, you know, man might have been responsible for by crowding these animals together or whatever, causing the hybrid, or maybe it was meant to happen, but there's no history of it anywhere else. We have no records of it being anywhere else. And now we're going to try and promote it at the expense of the other canines and everything else. Who has a stroke for this?
It come under a different government. I'm not going to play politics. I think you know which side of the fence I sit on, but
I'm right there beside you.
Yeah. But it's getting looked at, and even the party on the other side of the fence, they didn't see merit in it, and they put a pause on it too. So it's not like it's a partisan issue. It's being looked at, and we're still chugging away on it. The wheels of government don't work that quick, but we've brought the fight to Queen's Park, and the new minister, the past two ministers are awesome people to deal with. Their staff are really, really good, and they're easy to speak to. Like, I was on the executive there 2 years in a row, a couple of years ago, and like I said, we met with 3 different ministers on this, and the current executive is still going to the ministers and still pushing for this and other items. Like we fight for all trappers and all issues. So
where's it at? You guys have lost land because these Algonquin wolves are on it. You can't trap canines.
Yes.
And that's going forward, but they now have to come up with what recovery looks like where you can trap again.
Yes. And if those numbers hold true right now, with what our thinking is there's no reason for protection. Like
Okay.
at the very beginning, you could see a pack of dogs chewing on your cow, and you could not shoot it at the very beginning. That's how strict they were with it.
Really?
No defensive property at that point. I think it was the first week and a half before it was corrected.
We can even shoot grizzly when you're defending property.
Yeah.
And you will see in the future a grizzly season back here in Alberta again. It's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. So it sounds like maybe you guys there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But they still are determined that they're going to expand the range of this animal.
I haven't heard. That was part of the original strategy.
Oh, that's the original. Okay.
Yeah, and they still haven't figured out if it is its own species yet.
Well, you see, the part that I got the problem with is that, you can only have so many canines. With it, in Alberta, it's fox, coyote, and wolf. You can only have so many canines for an area, and all of a sudden you bring in this hybrid. This is a fourth canine or whatever. It takes room up from the others. It has to. So yeah. I mean, you're sacrificing the native, natural species in the pure species for this hybrid. This does not make any sense whatsoever from like a conservation point of view or anything else.
The thing is, they say that there is these animals already on the landscape, just not enough. Carrying capacity is carrying capacity.
Exactly. So, if they're going to
100 square kilometers has been figured out in 1958.
and so suddenly, if they want those three to be Algonquins, then what happens to the three grays that were there, or the three coyotes? They have to be moved out. Yeah. There's still only three of those animals per 100 square kilometers.
And this has everybody twitchy because if it all goes to their plan and the Algonquin wolves displace all these coyotes and move them into southern Ontario, which is huge farmland, what's going to happen with the sheep, the cattle? Like 2 years ago, farmer on my line lost two, let's say 400, 500 pound steer in their barnyard. That wasn't a coyote. That wasn't a coyote.
The thing,
but if you listen to them also, a true wolf won't go into a farmer's field and kill a cow.
That's what I was going to say. We have some fringe stuff that happens where wolves actually come into farmyards and that, but the big bush is always right there.
Yeah.
But if you have an animal the size of a wolf that has the comfort of being around humans of a coyote, you've developed like the ultimate nightmare for agriculture. Yeah.
And like we in Ontario, like south of Highway 7, Port Severn, so pretty much the bottom of Georgian Bay across all the way over to Ottawa, you're not allowed to snare. You're just allowed to dirt hole. We all know how well that works in January. Not that great.
Well, I was thinking, you guys are all Canadian Shield there too, so dirt holing's got a whole new
in ag country.
Yeah.
So the fur managers, again, they took the bull by the horns, and they reached out, and they're allowed to use RCRs now in southern Ontario. Relaxing cable restraint.
A leash. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a snare.
No.
It's not a snare.
No.
And if you listen to how the RCRs were developed in Wisconsin, it's kind of a funny story too. They tried and tried and tried for years, and they called it a relaxing snare. Well, not allowed to use a snare in Wisconsin. So they tried, brought it to their DNR. They tried. They called it, on the last attempt, a relaxing cable restraint.
Yeah.
Same design, passed.
Yeah.
So we're allowed to use those in Southern Ontario now. So it's not like we don't have tools to help help the guys out down there. But the thing is, there's a lot of them out there. You get over and farm country to you is second nature probably out there with the big ranches. And there's guys out here with like 1,200 head of sheep and 7 guardian dogs, and they're still losing livestock. Protectionist groups are saying, well, why don't you put a fence up?
No, they have no clue.
Yeah. So it was put a 10-foot fence up all around my property. Yeah, what's it? Just put a fence up. Well, they'll dig down. So why don't you dig the fence down? There's always an easy answer with these people, right? There's always an easy answer.
I like how they talk about it in South Africa, where of course they have all these game farms and that. And the whole idea is that they try to keep their animals in so that they maintain genetics, that kind of thing. They're very, very large areas. I mean, they are gigantic areas with that they have these animals on. But there's 2 animals that nobody owns, and that's the warthog and the bushbuck, because they say that you build a fence and you throw a bucket of water at it, and if any water gets through the fence, a warthog and a bushbuck can get through it. and it's the truth. Like, I mean, they're very, very enabled animals. You watch coyotes, and I mean, like a 6-7 foot fence is nothing to a coyote. I mean, they will jump to the top of it and they'll walk. But to have an animal that is, a pack animal the size of a wolf that is comfortable around people and that with like the coyote is, that's a terrible thing. Like, I mean, I cannot imagine. And for sheep people, our sheep people have trouble with coyotes, but our cattle people don't have so much trouble. My daughter is in Saskatchewan, and I don't know, I think they calved 340 head this year or something like that. So they're not a bad size operation. They don't lose that many. There are sick animals that'll get ate and that kind of stuff, but they don't lose that much to coyotes, because all they have is coyotes. Mostly because, one, the coyotes are a singular animal. Young siblings might be run together in a pack for a little while, but not very often do the adults run together, right? And we have lots of coyotes. It's just there's a certain time of the year, February, March. Yeah, they're running together, right? That's mating season. So it's interesting. What a nightmare for people with especially with sheep and that kind of stuff, and have those kind of animals around. Like, I mean, they could lose a lot of animals, no time flat. Why did they outlaw the snare in that area?
There was a lot of pushback from houndsmen.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of pushback from houndsmen, and the population is up, and nobody knows what care and control is, or very few people know what care and control is. Yeah. And that's where we end up with dead dogs.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's the old argument, right? Your dog gets run over on the street in the city, and is it the car's fault or the dog owner's fault, right?
Yeah,
that's the law here in Alberta. You take care of your animal. I have.
Yeah, it's very hard to see. There was 2 dogs caught in 5A. Sorry, yeah, in 5A, my zone here, and it's kind of nice that the police actually. I was talking with the one officer, and they said no, it's too bad about your dog. Maybe you should have had it on a leash. Right?
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So they're starting to give warnings, which the OPP is starting to give warnings for this, which is a good thing,
Yeah. It seems that so much this stuff is argued on emotion and rather than facts. And you guys have been really good at going to the government with the facts and that. And I'm just so confused that they would, promote a hybrid, an invasive species, basically, and everything that goes with it, the problems that go with it.
Yeah. It's not the current government pushing this, but the genie's out of the bottle, so to speak. So we kind of have to shove it back in and put a cork in it and call it a hybrid and be done with it.
So what other things are facing you guys in Ontario, the trappers? What other wars are going on, or what other issues are there?
We on the ballot right now on the ERO. There's dispatch after dark, which is a good thing because a lot of us trappers out here have day jobs. We can't live off of fur alone.
No.
So we have day jobs, and most of our sets have to get checked by flashlight.
Yeah.
So we're hopefully going to be able to use a firearm at night for the purpose of dispatch.
Okay.
Other big things that are going on, Trapline Allocation and that process.
What's happening there?
It's being worked on. It just needs updating.
So is that for somebody passing it on or selling it to? Do you folks sell your trap lines there?
No, we have to. So if I want to give up my line, there's two ways I can do it. I can just say I'm done, or we can have a succession form filled out, and that goes to the fur tech, and the fur tech has to put it up for open competition for the First Nations peoples. And if they have familial ties to commercial trapping within that line, they have first right of refusal, which is fair and in our eyes, never balked at that. But there's been a couple cases where things have been run kind of wonky. So we're just trying to keep that in the spirit of the way it was originally written.
So explain this one to me though. Do you have cabins on your trap lines?
Yes, sir. Well, not all of them. Not all of them. There are certain areas like in the higher populated areas, they might not give one to you. My line is mostly comprised of environmentally protected land. So there'll never be a building, road, trail. It is what it is. And they won't let me build on that.
So, but if you do have a trap line and it's got a cabin on it and you go to relinquish it or whatever, what happens to the cabin?
It's up to the parties involved to come up with a mutually beneficial transaction.
Okay, so you're selling the improvements then? Yeah,
and there is no expectation for money to change hands. At this point.
That's a long way of going about saying you're on your own. There's nothing we can do for it unless the other guy wants to pay you, right?
Yeah, I've learned how to speak a little bit more politically correctly. I don't carry a big stick very much anymore. We can't go at the government the way like you did in the 50s, and you start banging and spitting at each other, banging the gavel and spitting at each other. You have to be a little more genteel about things here.
Is that the biggest lesson you've learned dealing with the government?
Yeah.
What was the biggest surprise?
people are people, right? And there's different, like I said, this is an onion and there's different layers to it. And it takes time to get through each layer, right? So you can't come up and say, I want this done and expect it done tomorrow, right? It does take time, which for the most part, the people that we deal with are awesome people. They get it. It's just they have to go through the motions, right?
For me, the biggest frustration dealing with the government is it seems like something is never final, and you get to an agreement with a current minister or whatever, and then the minister changes, and it seems like the bureaucrats are eternal. The politicians are temporary, but the bureaucrats are eternal. And if the bureaucrats want something, they just outlast you. They just outlast you. That's all there is to it. And
there's a shelf life on bureaucrats, though.
Unfortunately, it's 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it's like. My son is the president for Wild Sheep Federation of Alberta. So he sits on different organizations, AgPack, and he represents wild sheep on AgPack, and there's another one. But I too have sat on those back in my day. It wasn't AgPack, it was AgMag, and that was like 12 years ago. And he calls me up the other day, and he's going home from a meeting. And he says, Dad, we were talking about this, and looks like this is going to go ahead, and this is going to. I says, Matt, if your son follows in your footstep or your daughter and sits on one of those government organizations one day, they will be talking about the same thing you're talking about today. Because 12 years ago we talked about this when I sat there, and he was like, "Are you sure?" I said, "I remember very well."
Yeah.
It just like nothing ever gets done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so, and I don't know what it's like in Ontario, but the protectionism out here since we've come under such scrutiny, everybody says we're so evil about dragging the oil out of the ground and all that stuff. Our environmental standards are so high right now that it's crazy. Like, I mean, you have to the permitting and that has to go through. If you were to hit a rock with your pickup truck out on an oil lease and punch a hole in your oil pan, they'll shut everything down, and that has to be cleaned up correctly. It has to be remediated. The whole works. Like, I mean, so to see the government there promoting an invasive species is just beyond. And that is so crazy for what would happen here in Alberta, right?
Here's the insanity of this whole thing. My kids watch cartoons Saturday, Sunday mornings, and Earth Rangers has a commercial on. Daddy, did you know that the red fox is in danger? But they say we have to save them. Earth Rangers is funded by Ontario Power Generation.
You're kidding.
How insane is that?
Well,
I don't know if somebody wants to buy carbon offsets or how that works. I don't know, but I was at the Toronto Sportsman Show last year, and a little girl come up and petting the marten on our display, and yep, that's a marten. Oh, isn't that nice? She didn't ask for birthday money or birthday presents. She asked for money so she can donate it to Earth Rangers to protect the marten.
Yeah.
Are you insane?
I know. It just doesn't make any sense at all, but it's all emotion, right?
Every half hour, on the half hour, they have airtime. The fur managers put out a video, and we had to pick and choose when it would air. Why? Because it's us. It's the trappers of Ontario who are chipping in money for this. And we had to pick and choose. We only have X amount of time slot or X amount of money for X amount of time slots. When do we want to do it?
Yeah.
Where do we do it? It doesn't matter to them.
No.
They got the money, they got the voice.
Well, you take a look at the World Wildlife Fund and what they've done. It's beyond belief. The atrocities have been committed in the name of that panda bear. You know what I mean? They've always been there just to get their face out in, you know, and they interfere with. Are we breaking down here?
Yeah. Oh, it's my wife just calling. Sorry.
Oh. Well, we can wrap this up. I could keep talking for forever, but I see we're pushing up on an hour here. So it has been a pleasure, Ray.
Thank you.
Can you give me a website? Give everybody a website if they want to go check all this stuff out. Like where to find the fur managers in Ontario?
Ontario Fur Managers Federation .com.
That's right.
OFMS.com, yeah.
Right on. All right. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for taking the time. And
thank you.
We will see all you folks maybe down the line.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That was awesome. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah. I'm like maybe 45 minutes from North Bay. So if you ever do make it to North Bay, bring your camera, bring some clothes, and we have I trap on 2 registered lines, and the one has a cabin, and I'm quite sure we could burn a few days out in the line.
That'd be cool. That'd be very cool.
Yeah.
We're hoping to do something with fur harvesters. Like I've been dealing with Mark for years, and we've come close to doing stuff, and we're supposed to again at some point. But if this virus stupidity would ever end, and we could get on with life, like it's crazy. It's just crazy. Yeah, it made it tough for him. You know, we're going to probably see a good bounce in the fur this year if it hadn't been for getting that shut down, right?
Yeah. I think as soon as things open up and the economy starts rolling again, I think we're going to be in for a boom. I hope.
we just need a pipeline or two, and Alberta will be on its way again. I'll tell you.
Yeah, well,
we're lucky.
By next year, if we get somebody going to to the House of Commons.
How is it that the only thing that is not essential in Canada is our freaking government?
Yeah.
How does that work? I'm just flabbergasted.
Yeah, it's beyond insanity. It's beyond insanity. It's
beyond. And who votes for him? Like, I mean, seriously. You know, downtown Toronto? That's crazy.
Yeah. My sister-in-law is married to somebody who works on Bay Street. He's one of the kahunas for BMO, and they all know him. They all know him. They go to fundraisers for him, and I'm like, you people are beyond words. It's ridiculous. I
can't believe, like, our finance minister, to me, I wouldn't trust to balance my checkbook. And I mean, supposedly he's some high-powered man in the financial world, and that he seems like an idiot. Like when he talks, he comes across as an idiot. You know,
he's just reading the script.
I know.
Just like Bill Blair. They know where their dinner hangs, so to speak. And Trudeau's not afraid to crack the whip. So you either sing the song or
get going. Along. Yeah. You know, at one time, the Speaker of the House was there to make sure that questions were answered and that question period flowed. Now there's none of that. They can ask the same question over and over and over again and get a nonsensical answer every time. I can't be alone in being frustrated with that. I can't be alone in having had my fill of that garbage. You know, the rest of Canada has to be too.
And it's a game. It's a game. He knew he wasn't going to get Quebec, so he turned Quebec against conservatives and the bloc's in there now, and it's a numbers game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All the NDP are liberals who really love unions.
Yeah.
So like they're all the same people just flying a different flag.
Well, like now they won't support him actually charging the criminals that have got money illegally through this grant and everything, and it's like I would have never thought that would be the one thing that they wouldn't support him on. You know what I mean? It's so stupid where it goes, because I just don't understand them. I don't think like any of those people. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, man. I will let you go, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Like I said, we'll do this again. I'm glad you reached out, man. Take care.